pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Cool. Started.
And for the next item on the agenda, we have the review of minutes and claims for the Vigo County Auditor's Office.
In front of you should have the minutes for August 3rd, 2021 for your approval. That's from your regular meeting.
Any additions or corrections?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
You will also have the rezoning minutes from yesterday, August 9th, 2021 for your approval.
I would make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All by aye?
Aye.
Okay.
And then, I believe you've had time to review the claims for July 31st, 2021 to August 6th, 2021, and the amount of $614,002.61, plus payroll in the amount of $1,045,208.90, for a total amount of $1,659,211.51 for your approval.
I didn't have it.
No, it looks like we got a big hit with our bridge with the drains, but that we're replacing a lot of culvert pipes. Culvert pipes that were put in about 75 years ago for a big project are failing now, so that's a line that we're starting to see that we're putting a lot of new culvert pipes in. No, I'm good with it, so I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the next item on the agenda, we have comments from the commissioners or other Vigo County representatives.
Yeah, we do. The second. Yeah.
That was
Okay, I have a little bit to say. If we're good. I would assume the media is here because they want to talk about the letter we sent out yesterday. And I want to say that I'm frustrated and disappointed in the Tribune-Star. In the letter, we didn't mention anything about closing buildings or mandating masks in buildings, and the front page of the Tribune-Star said that we are mandating no masks in buildings. I mean, we didn't say anything like that. As a group of commissioners, I think it's our hope and our thoughts that we don't want to destroy or hurt businesses, individual businesses, privately owned businesses, big businesses. Just at this time, we work with our health department every day and talk to them every day about COVID. I mean, it's not going away. We'll have to deal with it for the next who knows how long. We just simply stated, in the message that we support individuals' rights to mask as a county. And then, for the Tribune-Star to kind of pin us against the judges is ridiculous. The judges can do what they want in their courtrooms. There's an argument there that the commissioners supersede the judges with the courthouse, but, they're in the courthouse all day and they have high traffic flow. So I'm not sure what these guys think about that, but if they want to mask in the courthouse, they can mask in the courthouse. It's up to them. But there's no fight, there's no battle between the commissioners and the judges. That's not real. The comments that we see on social media where everybody's lives are in our hands, that's ridiculous. Nothing has changed with the health department. We are seeing a spike in cases. I was extremely disappointed, and I know it's social media, but reading some of the comments that were personal toward us, it's just ridiculous. I mean, we're tasked just like everybody else to make the best decision we can for our county, and that's what we try to do. And went to the school board meeting last night, frustrating as well, but I want my kids that will both be in the school corporation to be in class 5 days a week, and if that means masking, it is what it is. My kids are best taught in school and not out of school. So when we do letters like this, and Brendan knows more than I do because he's been here for 2 years longer than I have, but we talk, we sit, we try to figure things out, and we communicate every morning, and we just try to do what's best for the community. But there's no fight against the judges and us. There's no arguing. There's nothing like that. And things may change. 4 weeks from now, we may be in a terrible situation where COVID's taken off and masks might have to happen. But for right now, this is what we decided. So.
Are there any other comments from the Beaver County Commissioners or with representatives?
No comments?
If not, we'll move on. Any comment from the public? I know I have not received anything. I don't know if Michael has.
Evelyn, did you want to share concerns at the meeting? No, I know that. No, we're not, we're on, so this is a part where, the public can, anything that you want to share, you have concerns about, this is the opportunity. And I know you've got something that you want to share, that's why I'm encouraging you, inviting you to come up. If you want to do that, come up to the podium.
Yeah.
And then just state your name, whereabouts you live, and then what you want to share.
Okay, well, my name's Evelyn Davis. I live in Shepherdsville, Indiana. And first of all, I want to thank Brendan for going above and beyond in trying to help people that even they're not in his district. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
I recently had to get rid of some pet goats that I had for 3 years. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know who made the laws, who made the rules for people that live in the county, that you can't have pests. My nephew had to get rid of his chickens, and I don't understand why people in the city can have chickens and people in the county can not have chickens. Both of us own our property. We own the property all around where the animals are. I own 5 lots. My goats were in the middle lot, so they couldn't have been bothering anyone. They back up on the alley, and the house across the alley is in such disrepair that there are weeds and trees on their property are over 10 foot tall, so that couldn't have been a problem. They couldn't have seen the goats, or the goats couldn't have bothered them because of the shape of the property. And I had a very, very tearful Friday afternoon with my granddaughter giving away her 4-H goats and her pets. And I want to understand why, when we live out there, and because I said I spoke to all of my neighbors, none of my neighbors will admit to ratting me out or complain about the goats. And I wonder if someone just drives around the county and says, gee, I think I'll cite this person today. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. So I'd just like to see if someone has an answer as who made those rules, why they made them for an area like that we live in. I understand it's not actually agricultural, but it's rural. And it's not like I'm living on the corner of Collett Park and I want to put a bunch of goats and chickens in my yard. I understand that. But I had 6 goats in a large pen on private property. I owned all the property around it. I just don't understand the problem.
Well, I'll talk because I was involved with this, and it is heartbreaking that you guys went through this. But I think what we need to do, and we've talked about this, as recent as yesterday, we're in the process of reviewing ordinances. A lot of the stuff that was put in place years ago, at the time, was probably the right thing to do, but things have changed. I thought it was bananas in the first place that you were cited.
I appreciate
Where you live, the amount of space that you have, and as you are aware, and I know that we're sharing this with people that may care or may not care about this situation, but it went away because your initial citing, in my opinion, was wrong, and we made the decision to not move forward with it. And then somehow with area planning, it resurfaced, and I've got concerns about area planning and why they picked on you when there's other things in the county that need to be picked on. When we have other parts that need to be cleaned up, why are we focusing our efforts on you and your goats? it's balderdash. And we need to do what we can, and we are going to make sure that our zoning, our ordinances, meets today's standards. I mean, as I shared with you, I live in a nice area at the end of a private road. I am zoned residential. The property line to my property is agriculture. The people below us have horses. I think llamas. It's very well kept. It's a nice area. It's great. We love it. But technically, legally, if I want to have goats for my daughter, I can't do it. And again, bananas, balderdash, whatever B word I want to use. What I really want to use, I can't use.
I understand.
But we all know what it is when you get down to it. So I hate it for you. I know what you and Mike have gone through. When you say your grandkids, I think that resonates with a lot of us, that you guys are doing good for your family. You're promoting good stewardship, and for government to say you can't do that is wrong. Responsible people seem to be punished more, and I say this anecdotally, but there's a lot that we're seeing right now where the baddies get by with a lot of stuff. And we need to do what we can to lead the county and make it a better place. And I think this is a good example of just the little things that are so big that we need to focus on and pay attention to. So,
Yeah. These were 4-H goats, and now
I know.
they've lost a 4-H'er. Because if, at least they've lost a goat 4-H'er. The goat club has lost a member.
It was wrong.
And what do I have to do to get property rezoned?
So, I mean, I'll speak a little bit to the rationale was that your property is, I mean, the area planning was able to pursue it because your property is zoned residential. And there's on the books right now, a prohibition on agricultural animals, non-domesticated animals being kept on residentially zoned property in the county. The city has made an exception in their ordinance for, the type of, I don't know if it's necessarily goats, but I know chickens, and they can do that within the jurisdiction that they control. As Commissioner Kern said, they're currently reviewing the ordinance governing area outside the city of Terre Haute, and if that changes, then that changes the way it's enforced. But yeah, the reason the ordinance was pursued, I mean, we were in court last Friday on other cases, not yours, I realize, but talking about the same inconsistency right now between the city and the county. So, it's something that I believe is being addressed.
Like I said, we probably can't get our goats back now. And I said, and my nephew probably can't get his chickens back. But yet other people have chickens. I know 5 people that there are people in Shepherdsville that have chickens too. But they live on compounds and have an 8-foot privacy fence all around their property. I'm not going to live in a fort. I got a weed fort behind me, but that's okay. But like I said, I called and I asked, and I don't understand why people that live in the city can tell me that I live in the county that I can't have a goat or a chicken, but somebody that lives in the city can have a chicken.
In my opinion, it is because the city currently has a rule permitting it. Right now, the county does not have any rule permitting an agricultural animal to reside in a residentially zoned parcel of real estate.
Okay, so how do we change that?
That's the conversation that Brendan was mentioning earlier that they had yesterday. It has to originate from the executive arm of county government. So I think, they're in the process of having that discussion and potentially coming up with a solution. So,
Okay.
And-
Well, as I said, I'm very disappointed in the county. I'm disappointed that I was singled out, that my nephew was singled out. And, I take that personally, obviously. And I just, if I have to try to get the property rezoned, my daughter owns an entire block, so surely we can get an entire block rezoned.
the process for that originates in the area planning department. We have an advisory planning board in this county, so the commissioners ultimately make the decision on how property is zoned, but there's a process where area plan makes a recommendation, they send it to an advisory board for consideration, and then ultimately it comes before the commissioners.
All right.
Evelyn, let us work on it first, okay? And then, we don't have to go through that process. We just need to do it. I mean, Mike, how long has this issue been going on? 2 years?
2 years.
And I know Brad and Judy and I, we were close to doing it, and it's like many things that I'm realizing just with having conversation with Mike this morning about projects that I've been working on for 5 or 6 years that I either forgot about, dropped the ball, whatever, I'll own up to it. But we were close to doing something, the three of us. And it just, I'm not gonna give you excuses, it didn't happen. It didn't happen in time. It obviously impacted you guys, and I wish we got it done ahead of time, but we didn't. And so we just need to do something, whether it's a permit process, an exemption, where, neighbors allow it. It shouldn't be hard.
Or we could possibly clarify what qualifies as an agricultural animal and just make exceptions, and we could just change the definition where certain animals are exempt too. That's another option.
Okay, so let's set a goal, Counselor, then, that we can have something for us to entertain to vote on by the end of the month?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that doable? Or at least get the process started? I don't know if that ordinance change would require a waiting period or a 30-day deal, or we just do it, just guide us and let's figure out how we can avoid this. And if people want to have a goat or two, they can have a goat or two.
No, I think it could be tailored to whatever people's needs are. If it's a common animal that they would keep, I think that shouldn't be an issue. Or we could mirror the city ordinance too. We could definitely make exceptions for what people would normally have.
Then I'll reach out to Christy Whitaker with Purdue and 4-H and see, what kind of advice they have. 'Cause I know there is the exemption for 4-H, so.
They're unofficially, Brendan,
Is that what it is? It's an understanding.
So when Jeremy Weir was director of area plan, that was something that was discussed, but never really codified or given a lot of clarity as to what qualified. So the ordinance never really changed. It was more how it was interpreted, and as the offices change, interpretations have changed.
So at one time, since you've been with us as county attorney, this has been proposed.
There has been absolutely discussion about, allowing, people who draw a lot of relief from having farm animals around being permitted to do that. Absolutely. There has always been counter arguments, I guess, from people claiming that sort of activity could affect property values and,
Sure.
and trying to balance that, I'd say, taken a long time to ultimately resolve itself.
I haven't seen the actual ordinance itself. Is it vague, or does it define, or does it just generally
is.
say agricultural animal?
We're talking about the zoning ordinance.
the
The
zoning.
Unified Zoning Ordinance is what prohibits this conduct.
Okay.
So the Unified Zoning Ordinance explains what sort of conduct is permitted in the zoning classifications that we have: commercial, residential, agricultural, industrial. All those have various ranges for the level of activity being proposed. So in agricultural zoned property, there are no rules. You can bring a combined
Elephant.
feeding operation in, and, you know, I mean, it's
Well, the
very.
state has rules that dictates what you can bring in.
They do, but the classification is what would need to be. There would just need to be an exception for, you know, a certain degree of farm animals, you know, 4-H purposes, mirroring the city's ideas on containment, and then just put it on the code.
And for clarification, this discussion has to do with an somewhat isolated incident in Shepherdsville. Shepherdsville is a non-incorporated community, is that accurate?
That's how it's described, yes.
Non-incorporated, probably called a village at one time, just like Burnett, Fountainette.
Sure.
Lewis, those areas like that. And an exception would be Sealyville, where Sealyville would be probably in people's eyes considered to be an unincorporated area, but they have a town board, they have the town governance. They could do their own ordinances based or pertaining to this situation. So
Probably less than 200 people actually in Shepherdsville, in the entire area that they consider Shepherdsville.
Sure.
On the actual block that I live on, because I basically refer to Shepherdsville as being a block. Has side roads, and they might call it 3 blocks, but they're so small, I would say it's a block. And there's probably less than 200 people, could be as low as 100 actually on that block. So,
Well, we just need to make this work that's for the good of the community as a whole, so.
If it would be helpful to the commissioners to advise them too, I think one of the best routes would be possibly look at what other counties and how they define residential in their exceptions. So, because I could see a lot of different things pop up here. If we make specific exemptions for certain animals, then how many are allowed, and is a certain amount of space required? I'd like to see what other people
Sure.
do, and possibly that could give us an idea of how other counties handle it, and maybe that would give us a clearer route too.
Well, I don't think putting 2 cows on an acre of ground in a neighborhood is probably a good idea.
Correct.
But having a couple goats that the kids would like to come by and pet and watch them stand on top of a doghouse or shelter or something, that's kind of cool.
yeah, because I had friends that brought their kids to the house to see the goats, and we would, we had ice cream cones we put feed in, so it was,
Sure.
not really a petting zoo, but I just had a few friends that brought their kids to see them just because they had never, pet a goat.
Have you kept, sorry,
No?
have you kept are the goats still yours and you just move them somewhere? Or,
Moving to Marshall, didn't you?
Marshall area, yes. I'm not going to say where. I don't want to get them in trouble too. But
yeah, you don't have to tell us where, I just meant.
yeah, I don't know. They have goats and they agreed to take them. Whether they've given back to us or not, I don't know. But I really wish some of you had been there, or whoever it was that made that rule, to watch my granddaughter load her goats into a trailer that she'd had for 3 years, and 4-H champion goats, and just tell them goodbye and figure that maybe she will, maybe she won't ever get them back again. I wish some of you had been there to see that. I think you've been real happy with yourself. I am. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm just extremely frustrated and wanted to voice my opinion.
Well, thank you, Evelyn, for sharing that. And
Like I said, and again, thank you for going above and beyond.
well,
I appreciate that.
we'll all help. We will all help you. Anybody else? Any department heads want to make an update or anything, or share some good news? I tried.
Tried. Okay. We stand in recess.